14 centuries ago, in a moment of history written with light, the messenger of God, Muhammad, peace be upon him, spoke words that have echoed through time and bewildered scholars for generations. This religion will remain strong and mighty until there have been 12 successors, all of them from Quraysh. This narration is not some obscure or weakly transmitted saying. It's authentically reported in the most trusted collections of Sunni Islam by al-Bukhari, Muslim, Ahmad, and many others. It was heard by numerous companions of the Prophet, each reporting it with similar wording, confirming its significance. The companion Jabir ibn Samura recounted, I entered with my father upon the Prophet and I heard him say, this affair will not cease to be upright until 12 successors have passed. Then he said something which I could not hear. Jabir asked his father what the Prophet had said, and his father replied, all of them are from Quraysh. A clear prophecy, a specific number, and a profound promise. The strength and honor of Islam are tied to these 12 leaders. But a question immediately arises, a question that has sparked centuries of debate. Who are these 12? The moment you start trying to map this hadith onto history, you run into problems. The greatest minds in Islamic scholarship have struggled to provide a definitive answer. Let's look at the attempts. Some scholars suggested they were the early rightly guided caliphs followed by some of the Umayyad rulers. But the Umayyads were more than 12, and were all of them truly pillars of justice and strength for the religion. History tells a mixed story of piety and corruption, justice and tyranny. Okay, so what about the Abbasid dynasty? Again, their numbers far exceed 12. And while some Abbasid caliphs presided over a golden age of science and culture, others were known for their decadence and oppression. The Prophet's description was one of strength and honor for Islam. Can we honestly say that all the Umayyad or Abbasid rulers fit this description? It's a very difficult claim to sustain. The Prophet's words imply a consistent line of leadership that upholds the very essence of the faith. The confusion was so profound that some of the most brilliant scholars simply admitted they were stumped. The famous judge, Qadi Iyad, one of the great Maliki scholars, confessed that he could not find a clear meaning for this hadith. He acknowledged that history had not witnessed 12 successive rulers who universally commanded respect and under whom the faith was consistently strong. Similarly, the great scholar al-Bayhaqi admitted he couldn't pinpoint who these 12 were. Even Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, the renowned commentator on Sahih al-Bukhari, wrestled with it. In his masterpiece, Fath al-Bari, he noted the immense disagreement and concluded that no single interpretation was satisfactory. He proposed that perhaps it referred to rulers upon whom the entire Muslim community agreed. But he himself acknowledged a problem with this theory. When, in history, has the entire Muslim community ever been united behind one leader after the first few decades? From the Battle of Siffin onwards, the community has often been divided, with multiple banners and competing claims to authority. The unity the hadith seems to promise under these 12 was rarely, if ever, achieved in the political sphere. This historical puzzle forces us to pause and think deeper. Is it possible we've been looking in the wrong place? Were we meant to be counting political rulers, kings, and caliphs who held temporal power? Or was the Prophet pointing towards a different kind of authority altogether? An authority based not on military might or political succession, but on spiritual purity, divine knowledge, and a direct connection to the Prophet himself. This is where another equally famous and authentic hadith sheds a brilliant light on the matter, the hadith of the 2 weighty things, or hadith al-Thaqalain. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, declared in his final sermon, I am leaving among you 2 weighty things, the book of Allah and my family, my al-Bayt. If you hold fast to them, you will never go astray after me. For they will not be separated until they meet me at the pool of paradise. Here, the Prophet himself defines the source of guidance after him, the Quran and his own family. He links salvation and staying on the right path to holding onto both. Could it be that the 12 successors mentioned in the first hadith are, in fact, the leaders from his al-Bayt? This interpretation resolves the historical contradictions. It shifts the focus from political power, which can be usurped, can be unjust, and is often a source of division, to spiritual and religious leadership, which is a matter of divine appointment and inheritance of knowledge. Let's look at the wording again. The Prophet said the religion will remain strong, mighty, and upright through them. What makes the religion strong? Is it vast empires and towering palaces? Or is it the preservation of its pure teachings, the clarity of its laws, and the living example of its highest spiritual ideals. The latter seems far more consistent with the prophetic mission. When we look through this lens, a specific lineage comes into view, one that the Shia school of thought has followed for 14 centuries, the 12 Imams from the family of the Prophet. They weren't always political rulers. In fact, most of them were persecuted by the caliphs of their time. Their authority wasn't derived from armies or treasuries, but from their unparalleled knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah, their impeccable character, and their status as the designated heirs of the Prophet's spiritual legacy. This interpretation isn't a modern invention. In fact, some Sunni scholars came very close to it. They understood that the successors had to be figures who upheld the faith and brought honor to Islam, regardless of their political power. When they couldn't find 12 such figures among the caliphs, they were left perplexed. But if you look for 12 figures who were universally recognized for their piety, wisdom, and direct lineage to the Prophet, the list becomes clear. Their names are beacons of light in Islamic history. First, the commander of the faithful, Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Prophet's cousin and son-in-law, the gate to the city of knowledge. Then his sons, the masters of the youth of paradise, Hassan and Hussein. After them, the line continues, Ali ibn al-Hussein, known as Zayn al-Abidin, the ornament of the worshippers. Muhammad al-Baqir, who split open knowledge. Jafar al-Sadiq, the teacher of thousands, whose students included the founders of other Islamic schools of thought. Musa al-Kazim, known for his patience and piety even while imprisoned. Ali al-Rida, whose wisdom shone in the courts of the Abbasid caliphs. Muhammad al-Jawad, the generous. Ali al-Hadi, the guide. Hassan al-Askari. And finally, the 12th, Muhammad al-Mahdi, the awaited one, who is believed to be in occultation and will return to fill the earth with justice, as it has been filled with oppression. These are the 12. Their lives were a living continuation of the Prophet's message. They preserved the authentic teachings of Islam against political distortion and intellectual deviation. Their authority was one of love and guidance in the hearts of the believers, not one of force and coercion. They are the inheritors of the Prophet's light, not his throne. They ruled by justice and divine knowledge, not by personal desire. The Prophet's words were a prophecy, a guide, and a key. 14 centuries later, the puzzle finds its solution not in the contested annals of political history, but in the luminous legacy of the Prophet's own family. The 12 successors, the 12 Imams, are the anchors who keep the ship of Islam steady, the stars that guide the faithful through the darkest nights. Their story is the hidden, central nerve of Islamic history, and understanding it is key to understanding the promise the Prophet made so long ago. Thank you for watching. If this reflection has given you a new perspective, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that delves deep into the heart of faith and history.